So one of the great chord sounds is this idea of using these three-note chord voicings, often referred to as Freddie Green chord voicings, as a way to add motion and chord substitutions to chord progressions. Now, a lot of times I'll use it for things like 12-bar blues and 8-bar blues. And anytime I have been teaching this, someone always says, oh, well, are you going to talk about rhythm changes? And rhythm changes are just the chord changes to the Gershwin song, I Got Rhythm. But because they've been used as the chord changes for hundreds of songs, just like the 12-bar blues progression has, it's not a bad thing to learn your way around, because it's not just for playing jazz, it's the basis for tunes from like Western swing and jump blues and all kinds of other places. And one of the best ways to think about it is not to start off with all the chords you need to play rhythm changes, but just to look at it as what are the 1, 4, and 5 lying underneath that A section to rhythm changes. Sounds very counterintuitive. That's what I'm going to explain in this short lesson. So when you see rhythm changes from the outside, it looks like all these chords are going by. But if we start out with the skeleton of the song, it's really just, at least on the first section, the A section of the song, it's just 1, 4, and 5. So we've got B flat, that's the 1, F7, that's the 5, B flat again to F7. Now we're going to go up to the 4 chord, E flat, back to 1, and then over to 5. A section. Now the first thing we can do is to turn those 5s into 2 5s by adding in a C minor 7 in front of the F7. So we have this. Next, we can smooth out some of the motion by sometimes using this B flat 6 chord and sometimes using this B flat with D in the bass. So now we can go up there before hitting on our 2 5. So that also gives us more motion. And here's where it really pays off, going up to the 4 chord. So that's the next change that we can make. After that, when we're on the 4 chord, we can have some kind of passing chord that takes us back to the 1, like this E diminished chord. So now, once we make the climb up to the 4 chord, that chord will lead us harmonically back to the 1, which we could then play using this B flat with the D in the bass. So now we have and now it's starting to sound like rhythm changes. But when you start with that skeleton of just 1, 4, and 5 and make changes to it one by one, it starts to make more sense, and you can see why the chords are doing what they're doing. So instead of just memorizing this weird string of voicings, you understand that every chord is doing a particular thing to the chord progression. In my upcoming workshop, we're going to go through this in much more detail, and we're going to look at how this works on an 8-bar blues, a 12-bar blues and on the 32-bar rhythm changes, so that you can get a feel for how to take lots of different kinds of chord progressions and apply the same moves and the same kind of logic to them, so that when you're done with the workshop, you have a vocabulary of moves you can go and apply to whatever kind of tune you want to. And since we're going to look at everything with this philosophy of underneath it all, it's basically 1-4-5, you'll have a way to take this and apply it to lots of different kinds of songs you already know. To learn more about that, check out the link below. And in the meantime, if you've got a question about today's lesson, leave it for me down below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.